Diesel had played one trick too many. After nearly having Bucko and his passengers into a serious accident, Diesel was relocated to the scrapyard to be far away from the other engines. Diesel was not at all thrilled to be working at the scrapyard. Despite his arrogance and pride, he was secretly terrified to be anywhere near the scrapyard. He considered it to be a desolate place. When he arrived that evening, a scruffy-looking foreman barked orders at him.
You're on night duty tonight. Do as you're told if we will have any trouble.
What are my duties? Diesel said meekly.
You're a shunter, aren't you? Shut the scrap engines into the line to be cut up.
Yes, sir, Diesel sighed. Diesel slunk over to the sidings where he found many rusty engines with scrap written in broad letters across their tanks. He gazed at the lifeless faces and was overcome by the sense of dread. He'd never been to a scrapyard before and didn't realize just how awful it was to see an engine who was no longer alive. Diesel felt sick and couldn't stand to look at the engines anymore. Shutting his eyes, he quickly shunted the engines into place. The cutters prepared their torches and began removing funnels, domes, smoke box doors, and everything in between. As Diesel sat and watched the cutters at work, many things were suddenly put into perspective for him. He had spent many years teasing the steam engines about how they would be scrapped to make way for the diesels, but in his teasing, he never stopped to think about how awful it was to scrap an engine. Piece by piece, the engines were reduced into near shells, and then into nothing altogether. These engines were once living, breathing machines, but now they were the same as all the other scrap iron. Diesel felt an overwhelming sadness for the engines he had never met. Later that night, Diesel returned to his shed, a much wiser engine. His first night had been sobering. He peered up at the moon, feeling as a prisoner must feel, trapped and alone. I've really upset Sir Top Hat this time, he said to himself, and now I'm paying for it. Diesel had a lot to think about indeed. The next night, Diesel returned to the smelters to begin his shunting. He was sorry to see that there were more derelict engines ready to be cut off for scrap. Diesel couldn't be sure, but something felt different about these engines. Then, a thick fog started to settle on the sidings. The moonlight reflected eerily off the rusted bones of the scrap engines. Diesel heard what sounded like a faint whisper which echoed through the bowls of the scrap engines. He listened intently as the whispers grew louder. As the words became clearer, he felt a chill run down his back. The echoes called. What did I do? Diesel called. But I never said anyone for scrap, he cried. I'm sorry for making every steam engine fall off their path. I promise I won't ever do it again. Don't forget that one day you'll become scrapped. Then the whisper ceased, and the yard fell silent. The old engine stood tall against the night sky, and their last stand against Diesel. Diesel didn't know what to say, but he knew he needed to leave. Without speaking to anyone, he slunk silently away into the night. He didn't know where he was going or what he would do. But anything is better than facing his demons in the cold, damp sidings of the scrapyard. Oh, Diesel.